2020 has been a really tough year.
To avoid the loss of potentially tens of thousands of lives, we must enact an immediate stay-at-home order for the state of Illinois.
People are under incredible financial stress, losing their jobs, reducing their incomes.
20.5 million is the most historic job loss in a single month.
The worst one-month loss in American history.
People are also isolated. We're already isolated in our rural community, and COVID has increased that by tenfold. Overall, people are feeling hopeless and unsure of what's going to happen in the future. Our response at Arukah has been to link arms with other community members and design integrative services that can keep people safe during these times. The way that we've done that is through strong partnerships in our community. We've come together, we've strategized, and we've planned. So in addition to all the Arukah services that you know and love, we are proud to bring to you this year some additional services that we will be able to offer to the community. When COVID hit, I immediately thought, how can we repurpose our services to continue to deliver services without interruption?
We kind of put our brains together, we thought creatively, and our number one priority was to meet our population where they were at.
So for 2 solid weeks, we were rewriting policies, we were testing telehealth platforms, we were working with our counseling staff and our mind-body staff to be able to transition to a virtual platform completely. And then in parallel, we were working with our healthcare partners and our community partners that we regularly work with within the community to see what they were able to do. And so we could come out with sort of a combined resource list to be able to offer the community.
We did some rudimentary online classes. A lot of them were in my living room. You've seen my kids jump in the videos, maybe a cat running by here and there, and thankfully everyone was gracious and we all kind of got through together.
We really just wanted to make sure that people knew we were still here for them, that we were trying to offer services that would still benefit them in isolation, and they would know and see other faces online that they were not alone.
In February 2019, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 3B, and I did have surgery to remove a mass. It was the first time I had ever tried yoga, so I was a little nervous, but as soon as I started the class, it was just such a comfortable environment, and the instructors, I had Courtney and Stephanie at different times, and they were just so welcoming, and I just felt very accepted and encouraged and supported.
I was so inspired by Dawn Swanson. She entered the room and radiated positivity. She had a way of not allowing her diagnosis to be her story, to define her, and it was an honor and a privilege to bring something into her life that would benefit her.
I was concerned about how my body would hold up to it, but it really, I felt strengthened physically, and even more than that, I just felt emotionally as we learned how to breathe deeply and to be mindful. I would think about God and all that I had been through, and it was cleansing for me during that time to just meditate on all that He had seen me through, and that my body, even while on chemotherapy, was able to move like this, and I could feel just a sense of peace and healing during that whole time.
So one of the things I love most about my job is hearing about how Arukah has impacted our clients' lives. And so I wanted to take a minute to read a letter that one of our yoga clients, Mary Standard, who has been attending our classes for 1.5 years, she had a little bit of a misconception of yoga, and I just want to read a part of her letter to us. Before going to yoga with Arukah, I had kind of dismissed meditation or mindfulness practices as another religion and not for me. The Arukah instructors have quietly and gently shown me that it's not the case. They have exposed me to these practices and shown me how they can work in my life and help me get through some very tough times. During COVID, we had switched to the online platform, and so she kind of speaks to that for a moment here. The instructors and program directors are and were amazing during this COVID season. I live with my husband, who still had to go to work. The rest of my family lives in other states, so I was spending a lot of time alone at home during this time of isolation, tension, and sometimes fear. It was a huge relief to hear and see a live person. I tried to make the online class 3 times a week, and the personal intentions, mindfulness exercises, and the exercises themselves were great to help me get through this time of isolation and tension.
Given the financial stress of the last few years, it puts a serious burden on the individuals, which oftentimes leads to anxieties and depression, severe depression.
We're coming out of a year that was just tough for everybody around here.
Maybe as a group we're not the best at seeking help, and we just kind of swallow it and move on and keep pushing forward. And that's not always something you can really do when you're talking about stress and mental wellness.
It seems like it's kind of a Midwest thing, is we tend to push things underneath the rug and everything else. We don't want to show an image of having issues or failure or anything like that.
So we at Arukah started planning and thinking about how we could help our farming community, which is really the heartbeat of our area. So we came together with a group of farmers out on a farm in Bradford, Illinois, and we just talked to them about what they were seeing, what they were encountering, the issues they were facing. And we wrote a grant to the USDA to develop a hybrid telehealth model that brings in 4 culturally attuned clinicians from the Antioch group in Peoria to provide services for our farming population here in our community.
I think it's exciting that we've got this opportunity now to connect with our rural community through telehealth. What a tremendous technology and opportunity that is.
Being raised as a country girl, it's kind of exciting to think about working with that population. In terms of telehealth, it's through that we can reach people who maybe wouldn't be able to be reached and connect with people who otherwise maybe wouldn't be able to receive the service. And so despite some of the challenges, I think it's very exciting.
I think the challenges are great because there's a lack of awareness that so many people have these things going on in their lives, and with that lack of awareness, kind of the isolation that goes with it.
We're excited about this partnership because it brings top quality counseling to you right in the cab. Also, the folks at Arukah and our Antioch providers all have lived and worked in the country, so they know what's dear to you and what keeps you up at night.
I think our end goal is for our Farm Bureau buildings to act as kind of a stigma breaker and be a safe place that farmers can go and get some professional help in dealing with mental wellness issues, but not feel the stigma of pulling up to a clinic.
These are trained professionals. These are people who truly get what mental health is all about.
So we've been working with Arukah for the last several months on a partnership. They're one of several partners in a grant obtained through the Bureau County Sheriff's Department, where we're bringing mental health professionals in to help with police. Currently we have Jamie Taylor, who's working for Arukah, who rides with our officers and assists on certain calls, talking to victims, helping people through some rough times in their life. And actually we've had some pretty positive outcomes from some of those interactions that she's had.
It's always been kind of a concern of ours that when you have these cases and these victims that, you know, you can refer them to services and you hope they take those referrals, but you're not always certain that they do. It's been great. With Jamie, we can actually see her doing those follow-ups and making sure they're in good hands after the fact, which allows us to do our job a lot better.
So I'm really excited with the partnership with the police department because in the suburbs and in big cities, they are already implementing mental health services, crisis intervention teams, and to be able to do that here in Princeton is fantastic.
Her availability to the community and our officers' ability to recognize when she could be beneficial on a call hopefully is going to help us reduce the amount of people that end up in jail or going through the emergency room and utilizing services over and over again when we probably have better alternatives to help them get where they need to be.
Every single one of these officers and every single person that I've come in contact with who works at the police department are really caring. My eyes have been open to the amount of wellness calls that they go on. They mostly are checking in on people and trying to help people to the best of their ability. And that's fantastic. And I think that that so needs to be recognized.
So in December of 2019, the chair of the Marshall County Board invited me to come and speak to all the superintendents of Marshall County schools to talk a little bit about what we do at Arukah, the services we can provide, and how we can bring our services on site to their schools. Following that meeting, Dr. Carrie Rockwell, the superintendent of Fieldcrest, contacted me. I came on site and did a needs assessment with all of their principals, and we developed holistic services to serve their school.
So we had a great conversation, kind of built a plan for what would work best for Fieldcrest, and shortly thereafter a grant opportunity came up with ISB, and she and I worked together to write that grant, and because of that, Fieldcrest now has a $250,000 mental health grant.
I'm very grateful to Dr. Carrie Rockwell, who has really had a vision for bringing wraparound services to her school. It's difficult to do, not many schools can do that, and she and I together were able to find a way, and we're incredibly grateful for that partnership and excited about the school year.
I would say that it's probably perfect timing, knowing that our students very quickly left school, really with absolutely no notice. They were separated from their teachers and other staff members that they love and care about. And so this grant opportunity that we built together really is going to provide huge support for our students, our staff in the area of professional development and mental health counseling. We're going to work with Arukah on a video series that will be shown to our students every week, really talking about mental health and removing the stigma of mental health and encouraging kids to speak out and ask for help, and understanding that if they do have a mental health concern, that they are okay. They can ask for help. They are not different than others, that it's actually quite common. And it doesn't have to be hidden, and they don't have to be ashamed. And so I feel like the services that Arukah offers are exactly what is needed for not only our school district, but really the Central Illinois area.
You know, I'm thankful every day to be a part of Arukah. What we do is unique and it's different, and I am grateful to be a part of it, and I'm grateful for the people that have stepped out and tried our services.
Before I worked at Arukah, you can kind of be blinded to the brokenness and the pain that our community experiences. All of us here have this passion burning inside of us to help other people.
We all have to work together, even if we're doing similar jobs. We have to work together, and that cohesiveness allows us to reach and help more people within the community, and that's something that I really like about Arukah.
Some days I pinch myself that I get to do this job every day. I love Arukah, I love working here. I daily thank God for my staff and being able to work every day with such incredible humans.